Sheila. Oh, Sheila. Righty. Hey, Sarah. So, I'm going to get started. I did a post this morning. If you missed that, go back and check that out. I'd like your input as far as what you think and feel. I think it's important to share our ideas. That's why group consciousness, when we're doing our own soul growth, it's like la 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 la. It seems like it'd take forever. But when you're doing with groups and you're tying to other people who are learning different things at the same time and different perspectives. Hey, Sheila. I just had that song, oh, Sheila. Okay, so in groups, instead of just taking one step at a time, it's like leaps, poof. We leap and bound in our growth when we're connected to groups. Because as we touch into them, we touch into their consciousness. Hey, Teresa. Always great to see you. So today I did a post earlier, like I said, you can go back and check it out, about what I think is kind of going on. Check this out. Sorry, I was reading my screen. Let me focus here. So my post is I kind of put it in a nutshell. I tried to put it in a nutshell what I think is really important at this time. Like I said, so many things going on right now. And I'll explain to y'all that are tuning in a little bit more about perceptional wise what I'm talking about. That's not a good example, but imagine that, you've ever all seen a crystal or a diamond. A diamond works too. Facets are those flat places all over. So a gem, a precious gem, has these facets, these faces. And to me, I see like God in the center of us, right? And we have this toroidal field, all this moving energy. God has that space where he's just simply, or she, or a presence, I believe it's life-giving, life-sustaining presence, hey Yolanda, is sitting and watching everything go by from the center. And I think it's really important during what's going on right now, it is huge. I mean, the people that I talk to that have been around for a long time, people that are in their 80s even are saying, I've never witnessed anything like this happening on the planet before. So we're really in a huge happening right now. And I really do believe, and on one level, it's like musical chairs. Wherever your consciousness is, when all of this is over, is kind of the chair that you're going to be stuck in for a while. And I think it's really important, no matter what's going on out there, being in the center of that, going back to this definition of being in the center of this faceted jewel, each face being a different perception or reality. It's like being in a room full of TVs. Like in the Matrix movie when the architect has all these TVs and they're looking at it. So every one of these TVs is vying for our attention. Each one of these belief systems is wanting us to buy into it, like literally put our energy into that reality. And there's a reason for that I explained on my Facebook page if you want to go back and read that. But the simple version of it, hey Josie, the simple version of it is that why we don't talk about politics and religion is because people base their entire being on those things. So when you try to talk to somebody and give them a different perception, you're asking them to let go of the lifelines that they have created that have kind of locked them into their life. So to cut somebody free, like using the example of like Neo and all, when he's set free and all those, hey Dana, all these things are flying off of all those connections. It's a little more difficult than that. But what I perceive, if you can't change consciousness out there, internet iffy. Sorry if I'm a little fuzzy. You may have to go back and watch. Sheila just told me that I'm a little frozen. So you may have to go back and watch the recording of this. So if we're in the center and watching all these things happening, whatever gets our attention, we can begin to focus on. And that's a danger for us, from my perspective, because once we get locked into a particular perception, it owns us. So I choose to, no matter what's going on, I'm looking from the center of that gem, looking at the different facets, looking at everything playing out. And if it doesn't fit my litmus test about being truth, I just turn the TV off. However, if it is truth, I let it play, but I don't get fixated on it. I leave it there as information coming in, and I bring myself back to centered so I can still be open to what's all these different feeds that are coming into our reality right now. And it's really important to stay centered and be sure that whatever you buy into, and there is a monetarily energy aspect to this, whatever you believe you buy into, you put your energy into it. You helped fund and create that reality. So it's important to really be discerning when it comes to what channel you're choosing to focus on, even though there's a bunch of them being presented daily. Like so much to the point it is utterly confusing. So to get away from the confusion is you bring it back to the center. Bring it back to yourself and bring it back to your own truth, and know that there's only one source to plug into, and that is, then you'll find truth there. And I'm just sharing my information because I don't pretend to know the truth for everyone. I just share mine, and by sharing our truths we can get a deeper understanding. But for me, I do understand that if I turn on a station and I'm looking at that all the time, I'm aligning with that station. Even if my feelings are, I hate that, I'm still aligning with it, right? I'm watching it. I'm letting it into my system continually, and I'm letting it become my frequency, because that's what's happening over and over as I'm allowing that into my frequency. So yes, watch what's going on, see all the stations, and if it doesn't fit with you, turn the station off, and you can leave the stations on that really do resonate with you and be paying attention to them without being caught up in them. So it's extremely important to come back to your center, which is why this meditation I'm sharing with you is about clearing your mental emotional consciousness, which is all where all of our programs are, the viruses. I talked about on my page today that pathogens do not cause illness. They don't. Pathogens show up when there's a hole in the consciousness around something. It like sucks that pathogen in there. Pathogens are opportunistic. So the negative things happening in the world, quote unquote evil, which just is the word live backwards, are only opportunistic in that when they see a hole or an advantage, they're going to use it, right? So, for example, every illness and disease in the body comes first from a consciousness misperception that went from God, love, giving, and supporting to life and love, taking or suppressing. That is it. That is the bottom line, and health system will totally change overnight if everybody could own that that is the only thing that's causing illness and disease, is when we become upside down and we perceiving things as life-taking and life-sustaining. That's the danger of getting caught up in too many of these stations, because you're being attuned to a station you may not really want to be tuned to. Yeah, you can be aware of what's going on there, but think about it. The war on drugs, the war on famine, the war on poverty, the war on nothing has ever worked, because it's an external exercise when in truth it is an individual movement and an understanding. We get back to the Garden of Eden, which is the entire planet we're walking on. We get back to that by changing our perception, not by beating the world up out there. And if I change it within me and I'm holding that vibration, then the people I come in contact get a little frequency of that. And I can try to talk to people. I know that people are going to show up here and some people will watch me for a minute and turn me off and like, ooh, that guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and move on, which is cool. And the people that are here get what I'm saying because they're there. They understand, or they're on the edge of understanding that you are a divine being in the story. And somehow along the way, we bought into the perception of judgment, of duality, of polarization, which means we're separate. We're separate from God, which is untrue. God's never stopped communicating to us, ever. Okay? That source is right here communicating as always. There is no separation. And from the misperception of separation, which falls into the category of life-taking and life-suppressing, because they got what I want, I got to go to war with them to get it. That's separation, right? War, we all right? When we fall into separation, we lose the ability to know that life is, it's magnificent and it's abundant. There is no limitation if we all worked on the same level of being connected into life-giving and life-sustaining. And right now, the planet is really on the edge of getting that, okay? There's lots of different camps. There's still lots of different channels out there to tune into. But what I want for you is that when all of the music of this whole thing stops, I want your vibration to be the one that lands in the place where it is peaceful, abundant, and the childlike wonder that we used to live by comes back into our existence, where we realize, I'm walking around in a freaking paradise every day. It's true, you are. We are living in the Garden of Eden. There is no separation. And once we truly own that and own our divinity, nothing negative can touch us. When I'm plugged into Source, like really plugged into Source, there's electricity powering me. And nothing can come in between that because it's like a bug light. It'll zap it to pieces. So the more of us that do that, the more of all this negativity flying around, it'll come into us, and we are the zappers of that. We get to be these light-working zappers. Think of yourself as a negative bud zapper if you want to. So all this negativity is coming to me. I can zap it. I can eliminate it, which means it takes one more like kilowatt of power from that thing. Because we are the ones plugged into Source. We are the ones that have the power. Fear, life-taking and life-suppressing types of energy, people, groups, organizations have to rob energy from other people because they're not plugged into Source. There is no evil source. Evil is a secondary movement from being unplugged from Source. Just like live is a secondary outcropping of when being plugged into Source. There's only one power, Source. Evil is a shadow. It's laughable. It's utterly laughable. And once we own that, we start zapping it. So today we're going to play a little bit with zapping the negativity in the world, not getting caught up in it. I want you to be like a macrophage. Light workers to me are like white blood cells. Macrophage are these big, strong white blood cells. Like here's a little negative thing. White blood cell goes and gobbles it up. It doesn't sit there and listen to what it's saying because it doesn't want to be infected. It goes, okay, what you're saying is utterly ridiculous. You're full of life-taking and life-suppressing. Gone. You're out of the body. And the body is the planet. And we are the individual cells that make up part of that planet. You could even say that we are the, I love Bruce Lipton's information out there. And I take it even further as that each individual is a part of the membrane of Gaia. We are the membrane. We're the antennas of our planet. And we get to choose what comes in and what doesn't come in, right? It's because, and we've let things come into our planet that do not belong here because we have bought into something less than who we are. Once we own our divinity, we can say no to that. I rebuke. I say no. I say go. I say yes to only love and light on my planet. End of story. If you're not of that, then you can leave. Because you have no place to stick. When all of us are vibrating a high level, negativity can't stick. But it's an inside job. You can't fight it out there. Fighting it out there will always lead to war and never find a balance. It will never find a balance. If you do that, you get caught up in the continuation of what Buddha called the wheel of life and death. Even though you're thinking you want to get rid of that, you're still part of the game and you're stuck in the wheel of life and death because you're focused on that stuff. No, take your focus off of the peripheral and put it internally. The word that came to me is wonder. And that is what I choose to have. I choose to look at the world in those innocent childlike eyes of wonder and grace and amazement at everything that happens. That's where we can live. So again, yes, Sarah, mind-blowing. We are the antennas of the planet. And we've, in the past, humanity as a level has let things in that does not belong here. So just like in the body, that cell needs to say no, right? It's an internal job. You can cut cancer out of somebody's body, but if the root cause of why the cancer is there is not addressed, the cancer will reemerge. You can take out every dictator on this planet, every a-hole out there that's causing life-suppressing and life-taking energy, and it will regrow. It will regrow because the underpinning thing of everything is consciousness, whether you're plugged into Source or whether you're not. End of story. That is it. So the new level of healing is coming in to realize I'm not addressing negative things in people anymore because I realize that's all life-taking and life-suppressing. You want to heal people? You take it to the level of that they're divine beings. You take away everything in them that is programmed that they're less than that. And then healing is the outcropping of that. Being connected to God, life, live is the outcropping. Being disconnected is evil. Okay? Evil is not a source, though. Whew. Okay. I'll shush up now. So let's rub our hands together. Do our temple clearing. So we're focusing on the sphenoid. Literally the Ark of the Covenant. God put the Ark of the Covenant in your head, dude. Get that. Get that, really. I want you to get that. God put the Ark of the Covenant in your head. I wonder why. Because you don't have to go anywhere or do anything to talk to God, because God is right here, right here. No, absolutely zero, no separation. You have an altar. The altar is here. It's the Ark of the Covenant. You don't have to go through anyone or to anyone to have that connection, because it is built into you. That is why I know you are divine. Okay. Tapping over the temporal area. The Ark of the Covenant. I want you to really focus in the center of your head, that pituitary, that two-lobed endocrine, which is the 10 commandments. The commandments are hormones that tell your body what to do when it's programmed. When your system is programmed with only love and light, that is what the hormones you produce. When you fall into fear and anger and you get programmed with life-taking and life-suppressing hormones, guess what your body does? It begins to fall into dis-ease and illness. We got to turn it around. We turn the word evil around backwards and we get live, okay? I want you to focus on really thinking, and that this crown chakra that you have is literally a crown, that you are a divine being. This isn't some made up airy-fairy kind of thing. It is reality. And the reason some people, I would be probably killed 100 years ago from what I'm saying. Thank God I was born in the right time. But that programming, the negative virus that's all about life-taking and life-suppressing, has convinced you that you're not. So what I'm going to so when I say this, I know some people just can't hear it. Hey, Dawn, some people just can't hear it because they've been programmed so strongly to believe that they're sinners, that they're worthless, and that all they're going to do is like crawl in their bellies like a snake. And life is going to be about pain and suffering and separation. I'm sorry, that is all programming bullcrap. And it's time to change it. That's because the planet needs it. Not just you individually, the whole planet. If we don't start shifting that within ourselves, the planet's going in the wrong place. So we are the antenna of that. We let the things in. And we're going to start rebuking those negative things in our environment, in our mind, in our heart. Rebuke it. If it doesn't fit, burn it. So, tapping over the sphenoid bone. Yes, Teresa says Jesus is coming, and I believe Jesus is my brother. Jesus is your brother. There's no difference between Jesus and us. I do believe that. There's no difference between you and Jesus. None. Except he knew. Okay? That's the only difference. And that's where we need to go, which flies in the face of what we've been programmed, which is why the planet is where it is, because we bought into that crap. You're divine. You and Jesus are one. There's no difference between you and Jesus. None whatsoever. God strike me down. Tapping over your Ark of the Covenant that God put in your head for a reason, tapping over that, the gallbladder 1 point, we are the second coming. We are made in God's image, and we're brothers and sisters of Jesus. Tapping over the temple. Tapping over the temple. Raking the mental, emotional energy away. Coming to here and now, as Ram Dass would say. Here and now. God is here and now all the time. There is not one moment that God is somewhere out there. God is omnipresent. It means God is in everything, including you. Because you know why? God made everything. God's thumbprint is on absolutely everything. And once you know that, all you do is see divinity everywhere because God's divine thumbprint is on absolutely everything. One more time, clearing out the mental, emotional. And today, I want you to, okay, so we talked about and like I said, if you don't have the PDF, holler at me so I can send it to you. There's a point here, 2 points here, and a point at the back of the head. Yes, Josie, PhD, powerful, holy, divine. We are all PhDs. So this creates a four-sided pyramid. The point is at the top, so you bend your head just a little bit. It lengthens the spine, allows the Kundalini energy to flow up through the chakras and the spine, the nervous energy. The pyramid is now pointing up. And we're going to do a few breath of fires, which is 2 breaths in. You're going to go into your brain, out through the mouth. Pyramid means fire in the middle. Pi-amid. Pyramid. Fire in the middle. So we're going to put fire up in that place that we're supposed to have fire. Get us activated. So remember, 2 breaths in. Hold. So let's do that a few times. Filling your pyramid. The queen pituitary, the king pineal. Filling those chambers full of light, chi. 2 more times. Should feel a little tingly or something happening up in your head. It's all groovy, man. And I want you to bring your attention to your eyes. And just do this a couple of times. I choose to wipe away all the cobwebs that have kept me from seeing my divinity and the divinity of all my brothers and sisters. Ooh, I got it right. I need to do that again. So, energetically wiping the eyes, the lenses. I choose to wipe away within my mind, my heart, my energy and soul, everything that has kept me blinded to the fact that I and every other person on this planet is divine. Now I want you to imagine that you have God's eyes. When you imagine that you have God's eyes and you look out at the world, what do you think God sees? Yes, Cindy, sometimes I do put the tongue in the roof of the mouth, but in this case I was just focusing on the brain part, not the microcosmic orbit. So imagine that you have God's eyes, and if you had God's eyes, like really imagine God's eyes, unconditional, fully accepting, fully loving, what do you think God sees? When God looks at this planet, looks at all the people, what do you think truly, I mean, honestly, what do you think God sees? Do you think God sees mistakes that he made? Or do you think God sees everything and everyone with love, with understanding, with peace, with hope? One more time, I feel in this. Holding your hands over the eyes. I choose to remove every veil that has been put and pulled over my eyes, keeping me from seeing my divinity and that of every human on this planet. I choose for it to be removed from me forever and ever. Amen. This time, let's tap the center of the forehead and the center of the heart. I can totally feel that our altar is totally prepared and ready today. Coming to the heart space, going inside your heart, that diamond going up and down, the octahedron. Putting yourself inside that octahedron, a mini you. That octahedron inside of you is a universe. You have photons inside. In other words, if you traveled inside your body, you would see light, points of light, just like the universe. Imagine that you're inside that universe, which is a fractal of the universe out there. And realize that when you're plugged into this part of that reflective, aka fractal, the reflective, when you're plugged in here, you're plugged into the source of all creation. There is no separation, absolutely none at all. So in this space, you are being baptized, you're being submerged in source. So carrying this forward about seeing only the divine, what if that was your affirmation? What do you think would start happening in the world? Even by the law of attraction, which I think is outdated, the new law is the law of emerging from the center of you. But even by the law of attraction, if you began to say, all I see is divine, what do you think would start happening in your reality? Going into the center of your being, connecting to source, communing with God, communing with source, saying to God in your own words, whatever your own language is, God, I choose to see the divine in others as you do. I choose to not only see, but know and feel my divinity and that of others. I choose to rid myself of the lies and the Trojan viruses that say I'm anything less, that say I'm a sinner, that say I'm separate from you. I choose to be rid of those completely. From every part of my mind, every part of my heart, every part of my body, my energy field, and soul. I choose to be cleansed of that right now. I choose to be baptized in purity and divinity and know the truth. Know the truth. So I'm being shown an image of the rib cage. Sorry. I'm being shown an image of the rib cage, and your heart, like the Sufis, the heart has wings, right? And the rib cage is what holds it in there. It's like security. When we tune into security and protection, those things become a cage to us. When you own that you're divine, you don't care about vulnerability. You don't care about weakness, because no matter what comes to you, your heart has wings. It can transform anything. It can encompass the most negative thing, just like a macrophage, and transform it inside out. That is who you are, and that is the power that you have. And one of the reasons you were put on this planet was to be an extension of that. God said, hey, I created this for y'all. Y'all take care of it. I'll be back. I'll be hanging around. God gets to the planet through us. Plain and simple. We're the rainbow bridge. And you combine all those colors together, you get one light, one white unity light. See the world in unity. See the world in divinity. If you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita, the songs of God, it shows Krishna, and there's an image where he's sitting around playing his flute, and he is seeing the divine in everything. That person, that animal, that tree. That is to be fully awakened, my friends. That is to be fully enlightened. That the light of everyone and everything shines into you. So holding those beautiful images of peace, wonder, grace, breathe into your heart center, into that source space, thanking God. Then breathing out from your heart wave, this record kind of shape around your heart vibration. eliminating any scratches of negativity, hate, fear, worry, just obliterating any of those scratches. You don't want that on your heart. Because whatever is on your heart when you leave here is where you go. That's why you get stuck on Buddha's perception of the wheel of life and death. If you're caught up in anger and fear and worry, then you're going to go whoop, boo, and right back. Magnetism, man. Magnetism. So, thank you all for showing up and playing. And I'm going to continue to do this as far and as long as my soul speaks me to do it. Namaste. Peace. Amen.